almost like a pass rush prep for us. But what we do is partner up. I'll have the kids partner up. But we just call it hand fighting. We do a lot of, we teach them different things. So a few of the things we do is Evan will start, this is Evan Finger, he's such a guy for us. Evan will start up with one hand on my chest. And all I'll say is like, you know, all right guys, get yourself comfortable in an athletic position like so. And then he as a coach will say, set, hit. We have different moves we can work at this point. Kind of wrap up, we'll say, okay, first thing, let's just work our chop and rip. So we chop and rip, like that. And then we go to the other side. I always do 2 reps in a row, that's kind of a big thing for me. And then we go to the other side, chop and rip. Then we say, okay, what are some other things we can do from this position? We can do a post up, I call it. So we'll get in our athletic position, I'll say set, hit, we'll post up and rep. So we post and rep. The final move we can do from that position is kind of like a swipe. You get your palm on his tricep and then rep through. So those are some things I do almost every day. We also do it with 2 hands on the chest, double post, work it both ways. I think that's a great drill. I'm a big fan of fit up stuff where you're not necessarily coming out of the stance because, you know, hell, for high school kids, it's hard enough for them to come out. We have kids that can't come out of their stance and do a thing other than put their head down. You know, for the youth guys, it's got to be the same. So we do a lot of stuff upright in a fit up position so we can work that drill just specific. The other thing we've done is like a seesaw drill, hand replace. I do it every now and then. I'm not the biggest fan of it because sometimes it's a little erratic. What we'll do is we'll start like this. He'll start the chains on my chest, all right? And we'll say like, you know, set, hit, and he'll backpedal and I'll run. And then as soon as the coach says hit, you gotta work one of your moves to replace. And then I put my hands on his chest. Sorry. And then as soon as I do that, we bounce back forth. So that's kind of something that's got you moving. And it's not necessarily, it's a pretty good drill for, you know, simulate like the after the snap sort of movement. But I'm a big fan of the fit up. You should work and get your hands off your chest. And then our kids, we always try to do that right, like this fit up thing, right before we'll do a live drill. So that we tell the kids, all right, hey, just work, get your hands off. That offensive lineman gets the hands on the chest, work your moves we just did. And it's been effective, I think, so far this year.
When you do that fit up, do you do it full speed or just kind of walk through?
Full speed. So, like, and sometimes you have to remind kids, you know, well, like you said, hey, you'll get one of these. It's like, not going to happen in a game, bro. You got to go full speed. So we go full speed. We tell them there's 2 things. 1, really strike a blow to get that hand off your chest. And 2, make sure you're moving forward. Because we'll have plenty of kids when we go live after that, in our pass rush period, we'll have plenty of kids that'll do one of these. Great job getting the hands off, you're still in the same spot you were. And the offensive lineman will put his hands right back on you. So we stress the hell out of hands on, get upfield right after. It's a good question to start. Anything else like off the bat you definitely want me to cover? Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you start your defensive lineman on a 4-point stance or a 3-point stance?
We do, I'd say 99% 3-point stance.
Okay.
A 4-point stance is for kids that have a lot of trouble with leverage, a lot of trouble with, we have 1 kid right now, so I think right now on varsity we have 16 kids on the defensive line, so 1 kid is in a 4-point
so
stance.
So our level where a kid has a problem, I usually use a 4-point because of that reason too.
I absolutely think that's a good idea, and really it's not, a 4-point stance isn't, you know, necessarily a bad thing. I think our kids just feel more comfortable out of the 3-point. We've had kids go 4-point stances when they even though they were, you know, an all-conference caliber kid, when they really wanted to get a good jump off the ball and kind of dig in. But I think starting them on a 4-point stance is easier because you have a lot of kids not sure what hand to put down. I think the biggest thing on a stance is the footwork, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think what foot you step with first is the most important thing out of your stance. Anything else right off the bat you guys want me to touch on? And I'll kind of go through some other things. Nothing? Well, if you have a question, just jump in. I think it's easier if you guys kind of help guide my discussion as opposed to, you know, me just kind of going through a list. All right, so obviously with stance, the first thing, and I'll have Evan show, go ahead and get down a 3-point stance. The biggest thing with stance, like I said, is the footwork. All right, so what I do, and he's doing a pretty good job right now. If they're in a 3-point stance, I always tell them to get their offhand in front of their face. And our kids do a pretty good job of it. We picked that off of Julius Peppers. We used to never say anything, and they would just kind of put their hand wherever. Go right there. And then started watching Bears games, and Peppers always has his hand here, ready to go, ready to get his hands going. So we kind of ingrained that in all our kids. Get your offhand in front of your face. So I get down here. Now, one thing we don't do here, and other schools do when it comes to stance, is what hand do they put down? We don't require our kids to put a left hand and the right hand down depending on the situation. We say put whatever hand down you're comfortable with. Some coaches are like, oh, you got to get your hand as closest to the ball. So if that bottle's the ball, I got to get my left hand down. And that's all good. And that's all fine and good, but we have some kids here, they'll try to put their left hand down and then this is their stance. And it's so counterproductive. Rather have them nail down that dominant hand stance and focus on the footwork part of it before we move on to trying to work both sides. And that's where that 4-point stance can come in. If you really want a kid to have his inside hand down, you have his right hand down when it's closer to the ball, and then you give him a 4-point stance when when his left hand is closer to the ball. But like I said, footwork is the most important thing. So if Evans, let's say Evans, the ball's over here, Evans got his right hand down. We always want him to step with his inside foot back. So in this case, with his right hand down, you want to shift his feet a little bit differently. So his left foot is back a little bit more because you want to step with that foot first. So in a drill, we'd say like set hit. You always focus on that first step. And the forward thing I can't stress enough because we have kids the first day of camp, and they'll be in a stance here. Use the offensive line, and they'll be in a stance, and their first step will be over here and run right around him. It's like, okay, I understand you don't want to get blocked, but now all of a sudden that play just went right underneath you, and you're nowhere to be found. So footwork out of the stance is the most important thing. And we do this every day throughout camp. We do like get off type drills, but we just work on that first step. Well, he'll be in a stance. Go ahead. And I'll have the ball here, and I'll pull the ball, I'll say set hit, pull the ball, and he'll just focus on that first step, first step, first step, first step. And we'll make him redo it. So like in that one, he actually stepped I had the ball over here, he stepped with the wrong foot, so you have to do it again. Go ahead. Like set, hit, focus that first step only. And then other foot drags by, and we'll go to the other side. Set hit, and we'll ingrain in them about that, stepping with the right foot.
Do you have your tackles also have that staggered of a stance, or is that just because he's an edge?
It depends. Usually tackles are a little bit more closed, kind of like a lighter, a little bit more stretched out offensive lineman. But yeah, ends, their stance is usually more staggered. But we tell kids, if you're comfortable out of it and your pad level is appropriate out of your stance, we're not going to hammer you and say, oh, you really need to do this, you really need to do that. It's like baseball, in my opinion. You can't teach a general stance to the kids and then they work out their own little wrinkle out of it. And as long as they're hitting the ball, go for it. I mean, we're not gonna try to, overcoach. Yeah, overcoach and resplit the atom here. But one of the things we do when I used to coach the sophomores, one of the things I would do before I even do a 3-point stance, I do a lot of drills out of the 6-point stance because you want the kids to come out and strike and use their hands and play football out here. And it's hard when they're in a 3-point stance that they're laboring out of that stance to say, okay, now, hey, you got to shoot your hands, So one of the things we do this sometimes with varsity, but I used to do this before I even teach 3-point stance with the sophomores, is I would do a 6-point drill. So Evan would get down on his knees, get down on his fingertips, okay? Because in your stance, you want to be on your fingertips, and it's hard for kids to get in the 3-point stance on their fingertips. A lot of times they're palming, a lot of times they put their fists down, and it's difficult for them. So this is a lot easier for kids to do. He has his toes dug in, kind of like he would if he was in his stance, so he's able to push up. And then we just do a lot of drills, like before we even bring a pad in, we just get him in the habit of coming out and moving his hips. So we'll do like a Superman drill. All right? He's never probably done this with me, so it might be awkward. So okay. So I would just say set hip, just like that. All right? And what you'll do is you'll roll, you just tell the kids, all right, we want you to kind of push from your toes, roll through your hips, and fire your hands out. And they're on their fingertips. They're in a position to where it's not quite a 3-point stance, but it's modified enough so it's not so difficult. And we'll just do a few reps. Set hip. And they just shoot out. And a lot of times kids kind of get a kick out of it. If you have something soft, you can put in front of them, and they launch out. We used to do a competition with this. Like we would use like a crash pad, like a small crash pad we had that was, you know, a beat up like half wrestling mat, half track thing. And we'd keep moving it forward and have the kids work on shooting. Now they had fun with it. But that's before I even do 3-point stance. I'd even go to 6-point stance. And then you can incorporate a bag, and then have the same drill. Set hip, where he's working on getting his hands out there with the bag. Set hip, like that. And he's working, getting his hands out there on a piece of you know, material. So that's pretty much when it comes to stance. When it comes to starts, like coming fully out of your stance, I used to be big on just like, you know, set hit, but now what I got, and I should have brought it out, is that if you think I made it, but I actually bought it, it's a ball on a stick. I really recommend getting one of those. Just take like an old broomstick, jam it in a Nerf ball, and duct tape it around. We bought it for $50. I still get made fun of, but it's lasted 3 years, so I think we got our money out of it. But I use that stick ball, and I don't even say anything sometimes when we're doing starts. I just straight up pull it, and so they can work on it coming off the ball.